Have you ever noticed something strange? The moment you start improving yourself, some people get uncomfortable. You become disciplined. They mock you. You become peaceful. They call you boring. You become focused. They say you changed. You start winning. Suddenly the room gets colder. Why? Because misery rarely wants to heal. Misery wants witnesses. Misery wants validation. Misery wants company. Some people do not hate your success. They hate what your success reveals about their excuses. Hello, beautiful thinkers. Welcome back to our Thinking Lab, the only channel that blends all the major components and perspectives in every episode: science, great ancient wisdom, stoicism, and biblical insights, so we can think deeper, live better. Tonight, we expose one of the oldest traps in human behavior: why miserable people try to pull others down, and why millions never escape it. Stay tuned, because I included 5 simple and practical solutions to escape the trap. Now let's dive in. Chapter 1. Core idea. Misery is emotional gravity. Misery is not always loud crying, depression, or chaos. Sometimes misery wears normal clothes. It looks like chronic complaining, mocking ambition, ridiculing discipline, always seeing problems, celebrating failure, resenting growth. Misery becomes dangerous when it turns into identity. When pain becomes identity, healing feels like death. Because if they improve, who are they now? So instead of rising, many recue. The science. Why misery spreads. 1. Neuroscience and human behavior. Misery is a cognitive, emotional loop where the brain repeatedly fires patterns of distress, hopelessness, and threat, even when no threat is present. Psychology describes misery as a prolonged state of emotional distress, often involving hopelessness, despair, and impaired judgment. It becomes a habit when the brain learns to prefer the familiar discomfort of suffering over the uncertainty of change. Key mechanisms are the following. 1. Overactivation of the amygdala, fear center. 2. Dopamine withdrawal, lack of reward. 3. Identity fusion with pain. This is just who I am. 4. Comfort in predictability, even if it hurts. Thinking Lab translation. Misery is the brain stuck in danger mode, even when life is not dangerous. 2. Emotional contagion. Psychologists have long shown emotions spread through groups. Negativity moves fast, because the brain is wired to notice threats, more than blessings. One bitter person can lower the energy of an entire room. One cynical friend can distort your motivation. One toxic family member can make progress feel selfish. Misery spreads because the human nervous system mirrors what it is around. If you stay in smoke long enough, you smell like fire. Misery is unprocessed emotion that calcifies into a personality. It is the emotional state that forms when a person refuses to feel, refuses to heal, or refuses to take responsibility. Thinking Lab translation. Misery is emotional stagnation, disguised as fate. 3. Emotional contagion. Psychologists have long shown emotions spread through groups. Negativity moves fast because the brain is wired to notice threats more than blessings. One bitter person can lower the energy of an entire room. One cynical friend can distort your motivation. One toxic family member can make progress feel selfish. Misery spreads because the human nervous system mirrors what it is around. If you stay in smoke long enough, you smell like fire. Misery is unprocessed emotion that calcifies into a personality. It is the emotional state that forms when a person refuses to feel, refuses to heal, or refuses to take responsibility. Thinking Lab translation. Misery is emotional stagnation disguised as fate. 4. Identity and self-concept. Misery becomes a lifestyle when a person builds identity around suffering, uses pain as proof of worth, believes happiness is unsafe, confuses chaos with normalcy. ThinkingLAB translation. Misery is the identity you inherit when you never choose your own. 5. Social homeostasis. Groups unconsciously resist change. If everyone is lazy and one person becomes disciplined, the group feels unstable. So they pressure the improving person to return. Come on, skip the gym. You're too serious now. You think you're better than us? No, you just moved. And stagnant people hate movement. Misery is contagious. Human suffering often spreads through environments, relationships, and group dynamics. Historical and social analyses show misery emerging from conflict, inequality, and collective distress. ThinkingLAB translation. Misery is a social toxin. One unhealed person can infect an entire room. And 6. Future vision, or lack thereof. Misery thrives where there is no vision, no direction, and no internal leadership. Without a future orientation, the mind loops back into past pain. ThinkingLAB translation. Misery is what fills the space where your future should be. From Stoic wisdom, guard the gates. Epictetus taught that you become what you give attention to. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed by the color of its thoughts. That means every complaint you absorb stains your inner world. Stoics understood something modern people forget. Not every battle deserves your participation. You do not need to attend every argument. You do not need to explain your growth. You do not need permission to improve. Sometimes wisdom is not fighting darkness. It is walking toward light. From Stoics, Eastern and Greek philosophy. Ancient traditions describe misery as the suffering created by misunderstanding reality. In Hindu and Vedantic philosophy, misery arises from attachment, ignorance, and misperception of life's impermanence. Stoic view. Misery is what happens when we assign meaning to events that they do not inherently possess. Eastern view. Misery is the friction between desire and reality. ThinkingLAB translation. Misery is the gap between what is and what you insist life should be. Ancient wisdom. Crabs in a bucket. There is an old metaphor. Put one crab in a bucket, it may escape. Put many crabs in a bucket, they pull each other down. Humans often do the same. In tribes, kingdoms, businesses, families, friend circles, one rising person can trigger envy in those unwilling to climb. Ancient societies knew envy could destroy communities faster than famine. Because hunger attacks the body, envy attacks the soul. Biblical insight. Light exposes darkness. Scripture repeatedly shows that people often hate what convicts them. Bible teaches that light exposes darkness. This is why integrity irritates corrupt people. Discipline irritates lazy people. Peace irritates chaotic people. Your growth can feel like judgment to someone avoiding responsibility, not because you attack them, because your example speaks without words. Think of Joseph. His brothers resented his future before it arrived. Why? Because potential in one person can expose insecurity in another. Biblical frameworks describe misery as the spiritual consequence of misalignment. When a person lives outside wisdom, discipline, or truth, ThinkingLAB translation, misery is the soul signaling that you are living out of order. Savage. Picture this. You tell your circle you want to quit drinking, get fit, save money, and level up. Instead of support, you hear, "Life is short. You're no fun anymore. You'll be back." Relax. Months later, they are in the same chairs, same complaints, same bills, same regrets. You are stronger, calmer, leaner, richer, clearer. Now they say, you got lucky. Spoiler alert. No, you escaped. Why people stay trapped. 1. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar growth. Picture this. A dimly lit prison cell stands open. Inside, a person sits on the floor hugging their knees beside rusted chains that are no longer locked. Outside the open door is bright sunlight, green fields, mountains, freedom. But they stare at the floor, refusing to move. Near them are old comforts, broken habits, toxic messages, empty bottles, worn excuses. Above the doorway, carved into stone, known pain. Outside, glowing in the distance, unknown growth. The savage truth. Some people are not trapped by chains. They are trapped by familiarity. People choose known suffering over uncertain freedom. 2. Group belonging feels stronger than self-respect. Picture this. A crowd stands shoulder to shoulder, wearing identical grey masks, all smiling the same hollow smile. In the center is one person holding a golden mirror that reflects who they truly are. Strong, unique, awake. The crowd reaches toward them, not to help, but to force a grey mask onto their face. Behind the crowd is a warm bonfire labeled acceptance. Behind the lone person is a steep mountain path labeled self-respect. The crowd laughs and chants, "Stay with us." The savage truth. Many people would rather lose themselves in a crowd than stand alone with dignity. Many would rather fit in than rise. 3. Victimhood can become social currency. Picture this. A crowded marketplace buzzes with attention. At the center stands a person on a small stage, wearing torn clothes and heavy chains. But the chains are made of paper. Above them hangs a glowing sign, "Pour me." People gather around tossing coins labeled with attention, sympathy, excuses, low expectations, no accountability. Every time someone offers a ladder labeled responsibility, discipline, or change, the person angrily kicks it away, because stepping down would mean walking. Staying chained pays better. The savage truth. When pain earns rewards, some people protect the wound more than they pursue the cure. Some circles reward excuses more than solutions. 4. Responsibility is heavy. Picture this. A powerful figure stands at a fork in the road. On one side lies a golden backpack labeled responsibility. It is massive, loaded with bricks named discipline, truth, sacrifice, or consistency, ownership. The path beneath it is steep, rocky, and climbs toward a shining city on a mountain. On the other side floats a bag of feathers labeled blame, weightless, easy to carry. Its road is smooth, downhill, crowded, and ends in a swamp filled with broken signs that read potential, dreams, respect. The crowd rushes toward the easy road laughing. The lone, strong person bends down, lifts the heavy pack, and starts climbing. The savage truth. Responsibility feels heavy at first, but blame becomes heavier for life. Blame feels lighter. 5. Growth is lonely at first. Picture this. A lone figure climbs a steep mountain in the cold, dark dawn. Far below, a crowded city glows with noise, parties, comfort, and distraction. Thousands remain there, cheering each other in circles. The climber is alone. No applause, no audience, no shortcuts. Their backpack is marked with discipline, patience, sacrifice, standards. Halfway up the mountain, the path is empty and silent. At the summit, Sunlight breaks over the horizon, where a small circle of strong, peaceful people wait. Above the empty middle path is written, "Most turn back here." The savage truth. Growth feels lonely in the beginning because few people are willing to endure the part before results appear. Many quit because the early stage feels empty. 5 simple, practical solutions to escape the misery trap. 1. Audit your circle. Ask yourself, who drains me? Who excuses weakness? Who mocks progress? Who inspires growth? Spend less time where your future is punished. Why it works. Environment shapes behavior faster than willpower. Change the crowd. Change the rhythm. 2. Stop explaining your growth. Do not announce every improvement. Move quietly, build quietly, heal quietly, win quietly. Why it works. Explanations invite resistance. Results silence critics. 3. Replace complaint with construction. Every time you complain, pair it with action. Examples: problem, broke. Action, budget. Problem, tired. Action, sleep discipline. Problem, lonely. Action, build skill communities. Why it works. Action interrupts helplessness and rewires identity. You stop being a victim and become an operator. 4. Protect your mental diet. Limit constant negativity, doom scrolling, gossip, and chronic complainers. Feed your mind strength, such as books, wisdom, training, builders, truth. Why it works. Your mind grows in the direction of repeated input. Garbage in, misery out. 5. Get comfortable. Being misunderstood. Some people need the old version of you because it made them comfortable. Let them miss that version. Why it works. Freedom begins when approval stops being oxygen. You cannot evolve while begging to be accepted by stagnant people. For all our beautiful thinkers, I prepared a misery manifesto poster. You can download it by going to the video description and click the link. Now let's go back. The hard truth. Sometimes the people pulling you down are not enemies. They are friends, family, co-workers, partners. That makes it very painful. But loyalty to dysfunction is still dysfunction. Love people if you choose. Just do not drown with them. Reframe misery. Misery is not proof life is hopeless. It is often proof life is mismanaged. Mismanaged habits, mismanaged thoughts, mismanaged energy, mismanaged relationships, mismanaged responsibility. This is great news, because what is managed poorly can be managed better. Final Stoic challenge. Seneca warned that association with troubled minds can transfer their condition. Choose carefully. The people around you are either watering your roots or poisoning your soil. There is no neutral. Most people don't realize this. You're not stuck because life is hard. You're stuck because the people around you are comfortable staying the same. So be honest. Have you ever felt people pulling you back when you started improving? Comment, escape. If you're choosing growth, even if it means standing alone, let's see who's ready to break the cycle. We've reached our closing. If this episode enlightened you, hit the subscribe button so you don't lose in touch with every episode. Like and share this to a friend or family who needs to escape the trap. Misery is a self-reinforcing state of suffering created by distorted thinking, emotional stagnation, spiritual misalignment, and the absence of vision. It is not just something you feel. It is something you participate in, maintain, and unconsciously protect. Misery loves company. This phrase became famous for a reason. It's true and validated. But strength loves discipline. Peace loves boundaries. Success loves consistency. Wisdom loves solitude before applause. Some people will try to keep you where they are. Smile. Thank them silently. Then keep walking. Because the trap most people never escape is not poverty, failure, or pain. It is loyalty to misery. Thank you for stopping by. Until next time, this is your host Athena, and this is Thinking Lab. Think deeper. Live better.